So today I'm going to be going over 5 questions that you can use to be more honest with yourself and know when you're truly living a life that's aligned with who you are. So the first question that you can ask yourself to see if you're being honest is, am I really acknowledging all of my parts? And what I mean by all of my parts is all of the subpersonalities and little versions of yourself that are inside of you. If you are a human, then you know that we are pretty complex creatures. Things aren't just black and white for us. There's a lot of nuance that goes on beneath the surface of our psyches. We have a lot of feelings and thoughts and beliefs that have formed over our lifetimes that have shaped different parts of who we are and help us to make decisions and really understand ourselves. Have you ever had that thought like, part of me really wants to go to this party, but part of me really wants to stay home? Those are your parts speaking to you and trying to convince you what each one wants. There is absolutely no part of you that is bad. Even if it might seem bad, it isn't. It's there to protect you. A perfect example of this is, let's say there's a part of you that wants to punch your ex-boyfriend. Obviously, if you do that, that is going to be bad. And I'm not telling you to punch your ex-boyfriend, but what I'm telling you is to listen to that part of yourself, that part that's really angry, that maybe wants to protect you, that maybe is feeling hurt and wants to feel empowered about what has happened. Of course, if one of our parts is in an extreme state, it may impact our functioning in a negative way. But if you're able to get underneath the surface about what that extreme state is really about, understanding that part of you is going to help you be more honest with yourself and really get to know yourself better. Doing parts work is one of my favorite therapeutic tools. I think it can be so powerful to really access the different thoughts and feelings that we keep beneath the surface, but when you let them speak, they can have so much value and really help you be more honest with what you want and why. The second question I want you to use to see if you're being honest with yourself is, am I balancing my head with my heart? Am I using a balance of logic and emotion when making this decision or trying to figure out what I want? Many of us tend to lean one way or the other. We're either really logical or we're really emotional. When you're able to strike a balance between the head and the heart, that means you're actually using what DBT calls the wise mind. And the wise mind is the state that you can find yourself in that is more mindful, that is making choices based on experience and knowledge and common sense, because you're not super focused on the facts and you're not super focused on the feelings. You're using both. So when you ask yourself, am I balancing my head with my heart, my reason with my emotions, and the answer is yes, that means you can better tap into your gut. It also means you're taking the whole picture into account when trying to be honest with yourself. So I tend to lean on the side of emotional most of the time. Actually, the other night, there's an example that I want to share with you all where I was able to access that wise mind, that centered part of myself. So I was throwing a 21st birthday party for my cat, who, yes, turned 21, which is amazing. And I was throwing this great dinner party, and I had a friend who was planning to come, and he texted me a few hours beforehand and told me that he wasn't going to be able to make it because he had a concert that he wanted to go to. And the emotional side of me was hurt. I was like, but it's Squiggle's birthday. How could you not show up for her birthday when you said you would? I am so sad about this. I feel like I've been rejected. I feel like you've chosen something else over me, and I'm really sad and frustrated about it. But when I brought my head and my logic into my experience, I was able to think things through a little bit more clearly. I was able to recognize that this person is not a cat person. He was just coming because he was invited. And I also knew that this band he was going to see was one of his favorite bands, and the tickets happened to have gone on sale earlier that afternoon. So when I'm able to take more of my logic and bring it in, I'm able to ground myself a little more and not let the emotions take over and ruin my day. If you are someone who tends to think more with logic and getting in touch with your emotions is a little bit more difficult, definitely download the guide that I'm going to post in the description. It's a guide all about feelings that is going to help you learn how to access those emotions a little bit more. So when you're trying to be honest with yourself, you can use both the head and the heart to figure things out. The next question that you can use to better understand if you're being honest with yourself is, have I given myself time to really think this through? And what I mean by that is slow down a little. We are all in such a rush during our day. We respond to texts automatically, we react automatically, and then we often regret whatever decision we've made or the way we've responded. If you can just slow down a little bit and really breathe, you'll be able to calm your nervous system down and think more clearly about whatever it is you're going through. So if you are asking yourself, have I given myself enough time to really think this through? And the answer is no, it might seem obvious, but what you need to do is really give yourself time to think this through. I think so many of us will process what's going on for ourselves on our daily commute or right before we're going to bed, which, can sometimes help us come up with deeper insights. But if you give yourself time to really explore yourself and whatever it is you're going through, some dedicated time can really help you to be honest with yourself and then feel good about whatever decision you end up making. I really recommend journaling as a way to dedicate time for this, and I'm going to post my video all about journaling that you can watch next, and it talks about what you can do to get the most out of your journaling sessions. So the next question that you can use if you want to try to be more honest with yourself is, am I letting my own voice speak louder than the voices of others? Being honest with yourself really starts with what you think, not what anyone else thinks, what you think. From even before the time that we are born, we are flooded with messages about how we should live, what we should do, what we should think, how we should feel. And it can be really, really difficult to unlearn some of those things so that we can access what we want, who we are, what we think, right? Because for so many years, we've been told this is what you should do. But when you can quiet the voices of others and really let what you think come to the surface, that is when you're really starting to be honest with yourself. I have a perfect example of this. I have been trying to practice letting my own voice speak louder than others for years because I know how valuable it is. And when I got married this year, my partner and I decided to do a bicycle wedding. And I love biking, he loves biking. It's something that we love to do together. And I really, really wanted to bike to the venue because I thought it would just be a special time for my partner and I before the ceremony to really enjoy each other's company and do something that really brings us closer together. So I told my friends, my closest group of girlfriends, and I'm telling you, literally every single one of them told me that it was a horrible idea. They were worried that I was going to hurt myself, that my hair and makeup would get messed up, that I would look terrible, and that I would regret it. And I have to admit, I spent a lot of time agonizing over what I should do because I trust my friends. I love them. I know that they want what's best for me. But at the end of the day, I really had to access myself, what I know to be true for me in my life. And I decided to bike to my wedding. And let me tell you, it was one of the best decisions that I have ever made in my entire life. It was a really, really special moment, like I thought it would be, for us to just bond and take some time before we got there to feel connected and do something that we always love to do. If you're anything like me, then you really love and trust your friends, but you have to remember anyone that you talk to is speaking from their own life experience. Everything is a projection, and so they are going to share with you what they think would be best for them. And that is also why speaking to a therapist can be so helpful, because we as therapists have been highly trained to put our own life experience, our own projections to the side so that you can have space to talk about what you want, and you can learn to be more honest with yourself simply by talking to a therapist. The last question that you can use to better understand if you're being honest with yourself is, who am I? And I know that this is a very open-ended question, but many of us struggle to answer it. But when you know who you are, what you stand for, what your values are, and why, that is going to serve as an anchor for you in your life. It's almost like a guiding star that's going to help you on your journey whenever you have to make a decision or a choice, or you're just not sure if you're being honest with yourself. If you are able to start to get to know yourself better, you're going to be able to be more honest with yourself much more easily. If you're struggling and you really don't know who you are, don't be too hard on yourself. That's okay. We are all constantly getting to know more and more about ourselves. And the good news is, if you recognize that you really aren't sure who you are or what you stand for or what you believe in, you can start to figure it out now. I'm going to be posting a video on how to get to know yourself better. If I've created it, then you'll see a link to it here. But if I haven't yet, definitely subscribe to my channel so you can get updates when it's finally released. If this video was valuable for you, please like it. And of course, subscribe to my channel if you want more information to help you care for your mental health. Have a good one. Bye.